Welcome to the kitchen sink. We will chat, we will make you think. You will not want to go to the loo. You could miss a lot if you had that poo. Stay and watch and join in. Yeah. Hello and welcome to the kitchen sink. I'm Sarah Bridgman and this person is
Lucy Orchard.
Oh, we prayed for that Wi-Fi. It's still a little bit jittery. If anyone watching could let us know in the comments below what you think Lucy's Wi-Fi is like from your end, because on my end is looking a bit jittery. But in the meantime, she's in a whole new house. For anyone who's a regular of our show, she's in a whole new house. She's tried everything now. But welcome to the kitchen sink. I'm Sarah Bridgman. This is Lucy Orchard. You would be watching us from all over. We're on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. We can see your comments, and we like you to join in. So feel free to post a comment, and we can join in, and we share some of the comments that we like the best. And tonight is our International Women's Day special. Hi, Danny. We have some regular viewers. Danny is one of them. Hiya. So very welcome. And we are, sorry, I'm just going to have to go straight into super excited because our special guest tonight is none other, and I can't quite believe I'm saying this, but the fantastic Jenny Eclair. Oh my God. You know, yes. Like legend. She came up through the alternative comedy scene, or as it was known back then, a comedy scene. She's an award-winning novelist. She is still doing stand-up. She is a presenter. She's presenting Channel 4's Draws Off, which is on Channel 4 as we speak. It was on today. It's brilliant. So what better person can we have than Jenny Eclair in today's kitchen sink? I think it's fantastic. What do you think, Lucy?
Get excited.
She's so cool. Were you this laid back when you were driving the truck for Beyonce?
I'm actually going to get to speak to Jenny Eclair, though. There's the difference.
Yeah, that's true. But you're like trying to chat to Beyonce. Hey, babe, and there's like 30 security guards in front of you.
We were allowed in the corridors. We were banned from the corridors.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's one who you weren't allowed in catering if you weren't wearing the right colour clothes.
Oh my God. What colour was that then?
Had to be all black. All black.
Well, like, it must be so hard to just get black and pretend you're in catering. That must be so difficult. I'd be like, yeah, I'm in catering.
You wake up in your truck. You wake up, you just put anything on, you trudge over, apparently, I wasn't on this tour, but you trudge over to catering, and then some big burly security guard, like, sorry, man, you can't come in because you're not wearing the right dress code. You're like, I just want my food.
Yeah. Can I have some food, please? Anyway, we've had some comments in already. Hello, Elizabeth Humphreys, who I know personally. Hi, love. Yes, it is cool. Can we believe it? It's amazing. Alison Lanahan. Hi, Ali. Hi, Lenny. Ali, what am I talking about? Can you tell I'm nervous? I'm like, oh my God, it's Jenny Eclair. Celebrating girls in comedy. Absolutely. Because although it was International Women's Day on Monday, we're going to pretend it's International Women's Day today. Look, I've got a t-shirt on, especially, and everything. Look. Female.
Here we go. There's the money shot, boys.
This is how we get our viewers. Look. This is there's a band called the Franks, and it's for them. It's their t-shirt, like a really cool band. But yeah, I love that message. I did wear that in All Sunny Swansea, and I got an awful lot of kind of looks, but I couldn't tell if it was because I was running or because of my slogan. But today's the day. Finally get to my International Women's Day t-shirt. So that's really cool. And did you have a good International Women's Day, Lucy, on Monday?
I did. I made a few calls to different shops and stuff, and everyone I spoke to was really shit. And I was thinking, my day. It's my day. Be nicer.
I am an international woman. It is a day. It would be nice if we had more than one day, though, wouldn't it? You know, other.
Well, I said to somebody today, like, Happy International Women's, and she said, I thought it was a day. We'll decide when it is.
We can have a belated one. I think that's okay. Regular, huge anus saying hello and goodbye because he's got to work again. Oh, Hugh, I have got his question ready. Yeah. And Clyde is asking,
nice.
That's why it's called the kitchen sink. Now, we called the kitchen sink because when we got together, we were very much like, we're going to talk about everything, we're going to check it all in, including the kitchen sink. And now we look like we're just advertising for Burger King now, isn't it? I don't know if you saw that. Burger King did a massive dropped on Monday going, oh, it's International Women's Day. Women belong in the kitchen. And everyone was like, I beg your pardon? And it was just because they want to encourage more people into catering. Well, better wages and, you know, better, more flexible trading patterns would be great. Allowing carers, because women tend to be the primary carers. I'm trying to keep it light, though, honestly, because Lucy's told me I have to keep it light today, even though I'm like, it just I'm not a good feminist. I'm not a good feminist because I can't argue, because I'll just start getting angry and going, it's not fair, it's not equal. I don't know if I said this already. But happy International Women's Day as well, Liv. Oh, wrong one. Right. Lucy is sorting her Wi-Fi out by the looks of it. And
I am just trying to type a few things in my Wi-Fi. I was like, no one can see my Wi-Fi face, but Sarah knows my Wi-Fi face. Sarah knows what I look like when I'm smiling like this and I'm frantically paddling underneath the table.
That is slightly better. We were getting a little bit better, so that's good. Lenny's saying, Sarah, what is on your head? It's my Rosie the Riveter scarf. Can't you tell? Yeah, Rosie the Riveter.
We've had a comment in from previous guest, an amazing international woman, Vic Slayton. Great lineup, ladies. And we've had another comment in from my friend Kaz, who said that she saw Jenny today, with a naked person. I'm assuming that's through the television and not through the windows.
Who knows? Who knows?
We got the vote right.
That's for today's show, isn't it? Oh my god, my scarf does look crazy. I did just like tidy it. Oh, I'm not going to wang on about my hair today, I promise. Can I tell you about, like, on Monday, I wanted to have a chat with you about this guy on Twitter on Monday. He's a comedian. I don't want to give him too much airtime, but he put on International Women's Day why he hates International Women's Day. And see what you think about this, right? It is because he got through King Gong, and anyone that knows comedy or performs comedy knows that the Comedy Store, the only way to get on is to win their gong show. It's a brutal gong show and you have to win it. It's really hard. And this guy won it and they put him on and he looked at the lineup. This is his words. He said, looked at the lineup and thought, oh, there's just loads of women on. That's unusual. How come there's so many women on the gig? And then it dawned on him it was a special for International Women's Day. So he contacted the Comedy Store and said, oh, have you got me on with a load of women? Maybe you should, are you going to change my night for my big entrance onto, the Comedy Store stage as a performing act and not as an open spot? And they went, oh, yeah, sorry, let's change it. And then pandemic happened and he couldn't do it. Nah. So I'm kind of happy. But on the other hand, I'm like, why didn't he just do the spot? He could have been the token guy. Like, we are so often the token woman. So why couldn't he have just done the spot, isn't it? What do you think out there? The worm turned. Yes.
I actually had some friends, and I can't believe it. In 2021, I had a friend who went, I've been looking all day online and I can't find when it's International Men's Day.
No way, because Richard Herring has been sorting that out for the last 10 years or something. He usually spends all day on International Women's Day responding to that.
My friend Mark actually put the date. Like, we're not even a full stop, just really boring, just put the date. Like, this is such an old fucking joke. Like, are you serious?
It's not even a joke, is it? It's like, come on, guys. Right, so that's all our International Women's Day stuff. Has anybody else got any International Women's Day stories that isn't going to make us all cry? It'd be great, isn't it, if we could this year have some more positive stories. I think what's really good is that, like you, Lucy, sorted out the WSI Plus, which is Women Smashing It Plus in comedies. That's a really good story. And yeah, what else is good news for us in comedy?
I'd say doing the online comedy gigs has been good for women, because there's been no issue of travel, no issue with security, no need for childcare, and all the online open mics that I've done, it's pretty much 50-50 across the board. And it's made comedy a lot more accessible. So there's another thing that's good about online comedy. Just leave that there. Just leave that there.
Yeah, we like online comedy. We've had Lockdown Comedy Guide. Hi. Say about that guy. Maybe he's concerned that he would be objectified by the audience rather than regarded as a serious comedian, which would be perfect for International Women's Day.
Nice one.
Welcome to our world. Not all of us, by the way. Yeah, cool. Okay. Can I tell you a bit of news? Oh yeah, go on.
Oh, you go. I can't mention what it is, but I've got through to the second round of interviews to be on a national television quiz show.
No way. Which one? Pointless?
Can't say. Not saying.
You can't say.
Not saying. Not saying. Get on.
Okay. We've got.
I'm not interested in anything.
Positive International Women's Day story from Liv Humphreys. I sent a present to my sisters and niece to celebrate International Women's Day. Oh, that's lovely. Where's my present, Liz? I had loads of presents for my birthday. It's all right. Ooh. Kiri Pritchard McLean and Nina Gilligan are setting up an organisation to combat sexual harassment in comedy. About time. Fantastic. Excellent International Women's Day story. Thank you so much. We'll get on to them. Brilliant. Congrats on the secret thing, Lucy. Yes, congrats and good luck. And maybe one day you'll be able to tell us what it is.
Hopefully, but I'm not jinxing anything. Jinxing nothing at all. Nothing.
Right, in our dining room, we have mentioned on the special vol au vents and the Ferrero Rocher that we've got in their special for Jenny Claire. We have the fantastic Charlie Thomas for What I Learned. It's our regular segment, so I will bring her in just when I've sorted out where everything is. I've gone to the wrong bit. Right, hang on a minute. This is me sorting out. We're normally so smooth, aren't we? Where is it? We've got too much stuff on here now. So, here we are, video clips. Yeah, here we are. Here we go. Welcome, Shani.
We don't know much, so Shani's going to tell us what she's learned.
Hello, Shani.
Hi, guys.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you. I'm just moving my... There we are. Do you want to see my laundry? No, you don't. Let's move that out of the way and get a nice balance between laundry and kitchen. That's fine. And now I'm going to distract you with my shirt. Women!
Yes! Woo! Women onto genre! Oh, yay!
Yes!
So show us a bit more of your shirt, Charlie.
Hey.
Are you giving us a twirl now?
In slippers. Yes.
Oh, I feel like the worst feminist in the world right now asking you to... I didn't say give us a twirl. I'm sure that was totally your choice there.
Give us a twirl.
Let's do that, love. No, I'm showing you my goods, as in the goods and service that I bought off the website Shein, not the goods as in like, you know, tits or ass. And I decided to do that, and I'm very happy that I did.
Brilliant. Yes, as long as it's your choice, isn't it? It's perfectly acceptable. Right. So, how have you been since I saw you last? What have you been up to?
I'm still on the eggs that I was eating. The Kinder Egg things that I was eating when we had a catch up.
Yeah.
My shirt arrived. I've been at my mum's the last couple of days. Thanks, Alison. I love the. I love that this week is quite special. It's quite special. I think it's quite special. I made an extra effort, curled my hair a bit and all that, you know, wore my red glasses because I feel like she's very much all about the glasses. Mm-hmm. So a very good thing happened today that I feel like is a commentary on our society as a whole. I was talking to a relative of mine who's young and female, and she said that she was having a bit of pain pertaining to what we go through once a month, and said that she needed to take some feminist tablets. She meant Feminax, but wouldn't that be awesome?
Yes. Just take some feminist tablets. Anytime anyone's being misogynistic or sexist, I think you've dropped these. Maybe take 2. Take some now with water.
Like, oh, babe, I don't want to use condoms anymore. Well, I'll go on the pill. You take some feminist tablets, and I'm sure everything will work out fine.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's brilliant.
It's nice to see you guys.
Lovely to see you too.
Yeah. So I suppose you want to know what I learned, do you?
I see you too, darling.
No, we'll just chat the shit for a while, shall we? Yes, please. What have you learned this week, my lovely?
I'm just so restless and excited about this week's show, and also there's not a lot of cotton in the fabric of this shirt, so it's all very exciting. There's too much change for lockdown. General activity levels. It's too much. I love that, like, there seems to be just an extra shine on both of you as well, and you're always so beautiful. But I just feel like we've all kind of like spent a couple of minutes longer. I sound like a sexist person. I need feminist tablets now.
I don't mind. I'm all about the compliments. You crack on, my lovely. By the way, Lucy is desperately trying to find some better Wi-Fi, but it wouldn't be the kitchen thing without Lucy's shit Wi-Fi, would it?
No, that's better.
Ooh, that's better. Hello.
That's better.
You?
Hello.
Yay!
Right.
Fluid.
Shani,
Lucy.
I can
No,
hear
nobody
you.
move.
Right, Shani, I can hear you, but I'm going to go and get my 4-gang multi-plug. So please, carry on. I'm just going to shit myself and panic, okay? Everyone good with that?
Do what you need to do. We've got Jenny and Claire coming up in any minute. I can do it. Oh, man. Guys, honestly.
Lucy saying I can hear you, but I'm going to go get something gang multi-plug. I just feel like she's been looking at my Pornhub history search, and now I'm wondering what Lucy is these days.
How did you get that information?
I thought private window meant private window.
Oh,
that is not Lucy. I've had enough of this. That is not Lucy.
Oh, smooth. This is so smooth. Hello.
Hi. I haven't started yet. I've gone off on a bit of a tangent about porn. All right.
Plug.
Standard.
I love Ray's suggestion here about putting feminist tablets in drinks so that people can. I think that's like the only acceptable spiking that we can do. I think it would fix a lot of things. Just, you know, grind it up, put in a drink. That's a suggestion.
Absolutely. Wouldn't that be cool if we could vaccinate everybody to smash the patriarchy? I don't know. Can we get arrested for suggesting such a thing?
I can see the headlines now, something to do with pricks. I don't know, but anyway, I'm too excited, and I'm wary that I'm going to take up too much time, and I need to stick to my point. So okay, so what did I learn?
What have you learned?
What have you learned, Sean? I'm sick. Right. So this week I've got a couple of things, and I chose to go personal this time. So instead of looking on the Today I Learned Reddit thread and things like that, I've decided to tell you 2 things that I discovered embarrassingly late in life. And what I mean by embarrassing is my own standards of embarrassment and how I think I probably should have learned that sooner. So I'm 35 soon, and I learned both these things like literally a couple of years ago. So the first late in life discovery is that when people say be there or be square, that phrase means if you're not there, you're not around.
Ah, of course.
Seriously.
But when did that phrase originate? Was it in the 60s?
I don't know, so I'm going to say yes.
I reckon it's the 60s. They didn't have the internet then.
Huey Lewis. I always connected with Huey Lewis. That's it.
Back to the Future. Hip to be square.
Hip to be square.
Yeah.
See, I'm totally letting my age go now. I've got all crazy because our guest is in the dining room. So I'm failing to be cool. I'm just like, I spent all week going, just be cool, Bridge. Just be cool. And I'm failing miserably.
So I will tell you the second thing that I learned. So this was, I'm sure it was only last year.
Yes.
So the phrase, there's a phrase that was originated from nautical times where people would have shifts to look after the whole crew. They would call them watches. So if something would happen or people would misbehave, or they'd be like, oh no, not on my watch, as in this is my shift to supervise you all. I have thought my entire life, that not on my watch means not during my time, and that people are like spiritually and kind of theoretically going,
literally
not on my watch. So I learned that before I publicly tapped my watch and said not on my watch, thankfully, because that would have been horrendous. Obviously, I'm not as embarrassing as admitting it in front of a live audience. So those are the 2 things I learned very late in life. I'm just wondering, is there anything that you learned late in life apart from the first thing I said?
Do you know everything I learned late in life? Pretty much. Usually way too late. Like the boy isn't necessarily going to call you if you go all the way. I learned that way too late in life. We're like, yeah, we just like each other. We vibe. I'm sure he will ring. No, not necessarily. That's a way way too much information as well.
You know when people go on socials and they go, I was this many days old when I learned, and that really annoys me. It just really annoys me. But I found myself thinking this sentence the other day and then realized it was such a niche fucking thing. Nobody was going to know what I was on about. Did any of you used to do the quiz, Bamba's quiz on CFAX, which was 555? I realized it was named after Bamba Gascoigne. And then I realized I'm 39 and nobody gets this. So I thought I'd just put myself under the stairs. Did anyone else used to write to CFAX? Did anyone else used to write into CFAX? My grandparents would let me. They used to do quizzes, and you press the reveal button, and the answer would come up. Thank you, Phil Mins. Thank you. Thank you. And somebody, there was something about Bamba Gascoigne on the other day, and I just went, Bamba, ask Bamba. And then I thought, I've got no friends, and I need to get out.
We all do that. We all need to get out.
We would kill for that CFAX page right now. I bet all of us, everyone that's finished Netflix, like, where is that? I would love to do Bamba's quiz. We've all been doing Bamba's quiz for the last year, haven't we? Every week. Usually the Ignacio Lopez. Right.
Oh, Carl Morgan, John Joe has put that was bamboozle. It was immense. Thank you.
Bamba's quiz. It's bamboozle, you knob.
Bambo was in it. That's why it was bamboo. Oh, okay. I'll be over here.
Yeah. Right. Oh, and Danny says there used to be a games button Sky, and I used to play the games on. So
I remember that one. Yeah, there's a bubbles one where you shoot the.
I never had the money for
Somebody's
Sky.
doing all right for themselves if they had Sky.
Right, ladies. So we've all learned something this week. Shani, should I check you out now?
Check me out, babes.
I'm going to check you out. Thank you so much for coming on, and we're going to see. Are we seeing you next week as well?
Well, whatever you want, and I'll go on Canva and develop some packaging for the feminist tablets in the meantime.
Oh yes, please.
What I'm here for.
We can do the marketing. Right, because you're so amazing, I'm going to play your thing again, and then I'm going to check you out.
Okay.
We don't know much, so Shani's gonna tell us what she's learned.
Bye. Oh, I love Shani so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any...
Be cool, man. Be cool.
Okay.
Like,
Be cool. Right, Lucy, right, before we start, what nibbles did we put in the dining room for our...
Right. For the virtual finger buffet in the virtual dining room, I went to Waitrose.
Oh, thank God. We had rubbish last week. I didn't want trail mix again.
I've been repackaging the Aldi crap for how many weeks? So we've got edamame because of the Dame being International Women's. I thought it was a pun on snack. Yeah.
Good,
and
yeah.
3 different types of hummus and some crudities because sometimes we can all be a little bit potty mouth as comedians.
Oh, I love that. That was an amazing snort. Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, talking of crudities, give it up for the one and only, our amazing special guest, Jenny Claire!
Dancing away there to your theme tune. I'm through from the dining room. I appreciate your snacks very much, ladies. And at the age of 60, I learned something tonight. I learned that Bamba Gascoigne had a quiz on, was it on CFAX called Bamboozle? I've written that down because I never know when I'm going to need that again. And I really appreciated when you snorted just a second ago. It was superb. It was a fine laugh that turned into a snort, and I was applauding here. Well done. Nice to see you both.
And you.
Lovely to see you. Thank you so much for coming on our show.
Absolute pleasure.
Can you tell us, why did you say yes?
Because, well, I normally don't because I can be a snotty cow. I've earned it. I've been around a long time and I just think I don't want to do anything anymore. I don't have to. So normally when people get in touch via Twitter or any old social media, I do this kind of, I'm so sorry, but I don't accept work over social media and you must get in touch with my management, blah, blah, all that kind of stuff. But there was some persistence and I appreciate persistence. And then there was the truck driving element. And I just thought, oh, come on, she drives a truck. I'm intrigued. What's going on here? So, I have questions for you two as well, really. I'd like to know more about the truck driving. I'd like to know more about your stand-up careers. I'd like to know if you're happy. I couldn't really give a shit, obviously. But so, Lucy, tell me what you do in the truck. I need to know this. I've got my pencil. I might write it down.
Well, I'm currently a tipper driver, but I used to drive Arctics for the rock and roll industry.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, God. You see,
I mean, it's a world, isn't it? It's another world. I mean, I'm intrigued by both. I'm intrigued by the rock and roll side of it, and I'm also.
I've been
really-
driving trucks for 5 years, and in that time, I've seen at least 5 handsome truck drivers.
Well, I think that's probably a
With many
record.
of them.
Well done. Well done. Because I have scoured motorway service stations up and down the country over my 40-year career, and I think that I've peaked at about 5. So well done.
Yeah.
So where are you both? Where do you live? Where are you coming from?
Well, I'm coming from South Wales. You might notice the twang.
Tiny hint of an accent.
Just a tip it back, tiny
Yeah.
little bit of an accent. Yeah, so I'm in Swansea in
Okay.
South Wales.
Right.
And Lucy is
I'm South Walian, but I've escaped. I'm an immigrant, and I'm in Devon.
Oh, both nice. I have to say though, whenever anyone says Swansea to me, I remember pitching
Do you
up
think
at
rough?
a hotel. Well, all I'm going to say, I remember pitching up at this hotel. I was on tour, and it was one of those revolving doors into the hotel, and the door would not revolve because there was so much sick in the revolving door.
I think I know that. hotel.
It was that high with vomit, and the door, you just couldn't push it round. They had to open another door so that people could come in. Nice.
Yeah. That, in a nutshell, is Swansea. You're welcome. And it's still like that, even with lockdown, frankly.
Well, it's got a lovely theatre, though. The theatre's gorgeous once you get
Shall I
inside.
bring up the picture?
Yeah.
What picture?
Let's have a look. Do you mean this picture?
This is Swansea Grand Theatre.
Oh,
So you're
am
gonna
I
be
doing the
touring.
Swansea Grand? Oh, my goodness.
Jenny, just to let you know, you are going to Swansea. So
That's next year. I've got a bit of time left to write the show.
Yeah.
Terrifying. My bowels just churned when I saw that. I thought, oh God, I've really got to do it. The people of Swansea will be. They might not come. I don't know.
Oh, we will. We will.
Well,
I'll be there. Absolutely.
The thing is,
Yeah.
I mean, I've been around so long that I'm used to doing tours that have gone quite well, and I'm used to doing tours where, you know, you turn up at the theatre and they say, "Oh, we've decided tonight that you're not playing the big room. In fact, we'll put you in the foyer." And there's just a sort of little. They just put a microphone up and just a few chairs around, like a book club meeting, really, that sort of thing. So who
to the left.
knows?
Sky Sports is playing in the
Yeah. Oh, the bane of my life. The bane of my life. Sky Sports on big televisions in hotels. That's another thing I get myself into trouble with when I'm staying in hotels at night. The marching over to the communal television and trying to change channels because you can't. They've got them fixed, you know. They've got them fixed to Sky Sports. They're paid. So what I like to do is I like to get my mobile phone out and I like to play the theme tune of The Archers as loud as I possibly can.
We love the Archers.
Yeah.
We love
love
the Archers.
Isn't it?
Everyday tale of marching of farming folk. What's not to like?
Now Lucy tends to be a bit behind. Whenever we're talking about it, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna watch the Archers. She's like, don't tell me I'm a bit behind. So Lucy,
Yeah.
you caught up.
Oh, mate, I know exactly what happened in the back of that car.
Whoa, you caught up, Jenny.
No, hold on. In the back of which car? Where are we? Who are we with? Are we with Jazza? Oh, I don't know. Now he's got that difficult girlfriend.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
Jade, who was very rude. She was very rude when she went for supper. I think that was the last episode I heard. I might do the omnibus on Sunday. Oh, treats.
Oh, it's absolutely, it's all been happening on the Archers, honestly.
No
I don't want to
spoilers,
spoil
no.
it for you.
No spoilers. Right.
In the interest of sharing, I actually belong to an Archers Appreciation fan club. Why not? Come on, judge me, Satan.
There's some. Oh, we're peeling back the layers here, aren't we? We've got truck driving, we've got bamboozle quiz mistress, we've got, oh, Jesus God.
I tell you, you don't get this on Lorraine, do you, Jenny? You don't get this on GMTV or whatever they're called these days.
Who knows?
Jade, the bilious venom that woman has created amongst the fans.
Oh, is this the Meghan thing?
It's the
I can't-
Jade thing because she
Oh,
goes,
Jade.
"Hey,
Jade.
Jade, hey, buddy." Oh, Are we American? The script writers need to take a look at themselves. This is what's wrong with the country.
Well, I'm looking forward to Sunday. No, I thought you were going to talk about Meghan and Piers Morgan and the GM thingy and all that. Wasn't that a marvellous moment when the weatherman spoke up? A marvellous moment in history.
Yeah. I was like, because I don't watch that TV program. I saw it all on Twitter, and I'm like,
well, absolutely. It's the only time I've ever seen it.
And they're all going, yeah, Alex Beresford should have that job now. Like, who is he? What's going on?
Overnight sensation. I mean, every reality TV show. I mean, Dancing on Ice, all the, I'm a Celebrity. It's that time of year. Where are we? We're about March, aren't we? Where they're sniffing around for this year's I'm a Celebrity. He'll be on the list, I promise you. I know these things. Anyway, I'm here to answer any questions you have and chat about whatever you want. But I have to finish at 8 o'clock because then I need to start drinking.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm as a respect to you, I'm actually going to use 4 of my Weight Watchers points on some Prosecco tonight.
Well,
so
you enjoy.
Thank you.
As a truck driver, I cracked open a can.
I'm being ever the professional. I shall wait until I had my chat with you, and then I'll go and knock back half a bottle of Chardonnay.
Lovely girl.
Thanks so much. Can we start off with, I'd love to ask you about your early career, because obviously we're both into comedy in a big, massive, nerdy way. And I've got this book. I don't know if you remember taking part in this book. Did You Kill My Mother-in-Law? From, I think, the early 80s. And there's a lovely picture of you in here, which we're going to show.
Am I wearing a hat?
No.
Oh, that one.
No,
Look at me.
your hair.
Now, look at, I'll be shouting a bit there. You see, that's my aggressive onstage persona. It was quite tough in those days. So that would I'd probably be about 22 because I was born in 1960. So I'm very easy to date. So in 1980, I was 20. 1982, I left Manchester. Where I'd been a drama student, failed drama student. And I didn't even manage to finish the course because I was going to say heavily anorexic, but you can't really be heavily anorexic. I was snivelingly anorexic. And so I didn't finish the course, but I had this sneaking suspicion that I wasn't going to make it as an actress because I couldn't even convince myself. I'd be playing parts and so there'd always be that voice in my head going, oh, look at you pretending to be a Roman lady. Oh, what's her name then? Jocasta. Oh, and so, I knew that I wanted to be in show business because I was always desperate to be famous. I mean, I wanted to be rich and famous. It's a very simple kind of need. And, but I really thought it was going to be acting. And as I got to drama school and I realized that loads of people really believed in themselves and took it really properly seriously. And I was always slightly sniggering at the whole thing. So I was at that point, I was doing a bit of punk poetry. I was very lucky with the timing of my drama school life and what was happening around because it was the dawn of punk poetry and alternative comedy. Everything was just starting to bubble. It was, it wasn't really a big explosion onto the scene yet. Nobody had seen it on television. It was so sort of new. You could smell it. It was like, this is the spring of a new thing. And I'd seen people like John Cooper Clarke, and I thought he was amazing. And I was a punk poet so I could get my equity card because back then you had to do something. And most of my friends were stripping. There was a lot of stripping going on in clubs in Manchester because if you couldn't sing, there was either, and I couldn't strip. I've always had awful tits. And I was anorexic and really it wasn't working for me. So I became a punk poet. Mm-hmm. And then I ran away from Manchester and came down to London it's very clever, this, isn't it? Because you can see people type in things like, someone's just come in with a very exciting time for comedy. And someone's just, inspiring. Oh, now that this is interactive, isn't it? I've never done one of these platform things before. Anyway, marvellous. Hello, everybody. It was a very exciting time, but of course you didn't know it at the time. You never appreciate what's going on at the time. You just think, oh, look at so-and-so doing better than me. And I mean, I've spent all my life just being really jealous and doing everything out of spite, mostly.
I'm so glad to hear that, because I feel exactly the same. I'm fuming. I hate it, but I'm fuming.
Fuming.
Yeah.
It's so difficult to swallow, isn't it? Your own venom that just comes up on a daily basis. Yesterday, I nearly shat myself when this is my latest jealousy thing.
Yeah.
So jealous, I can hardly breathe. Dawn French has managed to do something that no other female comic has done. I mean, not just the comedy, she's managed to get on the women's fiction prize list, the top 16. She's on the long list for her latest novel. I had to go to bed with a migraine after I received that news. I could not. I was so jealous. I just thought, oh, I can't bear it. She, not only has she done, her comedy career is so golden and marvelous, but she done this as well.
She hasn't written as many books as you either, has she? She's only written
No, she's written the one about the lost family.
This recent one, I can't remember what it's called, but I will have to download it and then.
Only you. It's the same words as the theme tune of Brushstrokes.
Oh my God, there's an obsessive streak. It's kind of, you're either everybody's best phone a friend or the dullest person sit next to at a dinner party. I haven't really decided yet, but But yeah, so it was the 1980s. I was a punk poet. Then I had this really extraordinary experience in Manchester. There were these businessmen who'd set up a newspaper called The Flash. I mean, there's so few people know all this stuff. And they had recording studios as well. They were kind of a bit dodgy. They were a little bit Manchester Mafia. And so they had recording studios, they had a newspaper, and they wanted to make somebody a pop star. And they picked me. But
really?
Yes, what they did, they had no idea, and nobody bothered to stop for a second and say, just hold on, can we just ask one thing? Can you sing? And I really, when people say they can't sing and everyone goes, everybody can sing, you can sing, we can, no, I cannot sing. It's the biggest bane of my life, because if I could sing, I'd have been Debbie Harry. I wouldn't have wasted my time doing comedy, for God's sake. But they took me into this recording studio, and I'd been just 22, and they were doing a rehash of the Kinks number, So Tired, Tired of Waiting. So tired, tired of waiting. That one, right. And their faces, I can still remember now, their faces behind the glass screen dropping with the realization that they had got this complete and utter dud on their hands. And so I ran away to London, and to escape my shame. We spend all our lives, don't we, escaping our own shame, and started. It was really the dawn of alternative comedy. Although I think alternative comedy had been going for a couple of years in London, and the cream of the crop had already been scooped off for television, which was all the young ones, French and Saunders, and the original comic strip bunch, Peter Richardson and Alexis Sale and all that mob. So they'd kind of been creamed off by the television people, leaving the field open for new blood. And that's when I arrived in London. And all of a sudden, it wasn't just the Comedy Store that was doing this newfangled comedy. There were lots of rooms above pubs. And I answered an advert in the back of the stage, which was looking for novelty acts. And I read my punk poetry in a pub in Wimbledon. And there was some very peculiar acts in those days. I mean, I really approve of it. Was more new variety as much as of alternative comedy. So there was a lot of mime. There was, because Marcel Marceau was around, and there was an old woman that just wore hats and sang songs. And there's just a lot of mad stuff going around. So it was quite easy to fall into this slipstream of alternative comedy and just hang around for years until I vaguely started to know what I was doing, which took a long time.
Did it really take years? How, because the impression you get now is like, oh, it was a few years, and then it just seems that people either hang around on the circuit and are still doing it, or kind of disappeared. And like the one act that a lot of people talk about is this guy that carved ice.
Oh yes, the Iceman. Yes. Well, that's what I mean by the novelty acts. And there was a bloke called Woody Bop Muddy who had the record Graveyard. Do you know him?
No.
It was such a big hit at the student gigs, because at the student gigs, I spent half my life either having the most brilliant time on stage and really cracking it and sort of, being the headliner, or else I'd just have these disastrous nights where it just, I'd almost set foot on stage with the wrong foot and it just went horribly wrong. And the student gigs could go either way, it depended. But there was this act called Woody Bop Muddy, and he had this act called Record Graveyard, and he just bought records from car boot sales, and he'd hold them up, and it'd be just stupid things like Val Doonican, and the students would yell either "save it," or "smash it," and then he'd just smash the record up, and then he'd play it on a turntable. It was all scratched and broken to fuck, and then he'd nail it to a wooden cross. And this, I mean, in the early 80s, in the sort of mid 80s, this was just
yeah. I'd love to see something like that now. Do you are you aware of like the circuit, kind of the pubs and clubs now, or do you just not? Obviously, pre-pandemic, would you go out and watch comedy now? Or
I always felt very self-conscious about the idea of going to a pub, unless there was a local one where I would feel that I was allowed to because I was a local. But I have always felt a bit self-conscious about visiting comedy clubs around London. What I used to do was save it up for Edinburgh and then just go see a load of comedy. I'd sort of just sit at the Pleasance for an evening and just watch as much as I possibly could, or the Gilded Balloon, or any of those places, because I do actually quite like, I like seeing a mixture of a mixed bill very, very much, because it's like a smorgasbord, isn't it? And I do like a buffet, but I do like watching people progress to that first hour and seeing what they can actually do with time and that kind of thing. And then, when the shows come to London, because that's what used to happen with Edinburgh, is that every show that did well would end up at the Soho Theatre or somewhere, and then I'd go and see those. I mean, my daughter's very much into comedy, and we, that's what we've had some. There's some glorious nights, just laughing at people, just weak with laughter in tiny rooms. And I still prefer. I have a big fringe mentality. I mean, it's great seeing people do the West End theatres, and well done. And I love a big theatre myself, but when I'm watching comedy, I do like a little armpit of a club. I do.
Yeah, I do too. Oh, brilliant. What would you say? One thing I really would love to know, because I'm looking at the time now, I'm being more conscious of time, is, so you've got a show coming up in a couple of years, or next year sometime. Don't put too much.
Yeah.
What's your process? Sorry, this is the show picture. This is just What's your process for writing a new show?
Well, this one was triggered. It's always my management, basically, who just say, "Tammy, they're just really horrible." Honestly, genuinely think they did. I'm sorry about these, by the way, but they were given to me, and they're quite good. They look shit, but they're actually quite good. No, they just ring up and just goes, time went to tour time now, tour time. We'll set you up 60 dates. We thought it was neat because you're going to be 60. And I go, 60 days. Oh, that's quite a lot. And then, of course, by the time I get on this tour, I'll be 61 because it's my birthday again next week. So, doesn't time fly when you're in the middle of a pandemic?
They'll make you do an extra gig.
I'll do 2 in Swansea. I'll be staying in the Vomit Hotel. And so it was, that was what we were going to do. And obviously best laid plans. So it's been a tricky one because I haven't finished writing it yet. I've spent quite a lot of time writing. I got a commission to write a young adult fiction. So I've spent the last 3 or 4 months since finishing Draws Off, which is on the telly at the moment, which is completely bonkers and I love dearly. So I've been writing this young adult fiction, which has been brilliant because I've done some time traveling in it to take myself out of the pandemic. I don't want to give too much away, but it means I don't have to deal with the now, if that makes any sense. I have set it in another time. So every day I come to my desk and I transport myself to a pre-pandemic time. And that's quite nice.
Yeah. So what would you say?
Oh, you asked the question that I've just because batty old woman it's like talking to your auntie, isn't it? It's like talking to an aunt at a Christmas party. She says, too much.
Guide her back in.
The structure of writing a show, there's an open file on my desktop and just ideas go in, and every month or so I sort of try and push it into some kind of shape and structure. I do believe structure is very important, especially if the show is longer than 20 minutes. I mean, 20 minutes is, most people can get their first 20 minutes out to some extent. The next step for any comedian is to go from 20 to 40, which is actually quite a big leap. And then the third big leap is from 40 to 60. And that first hour, I mean, the first time I did it, I thought that I genuinely didn't think I'd survive doing it more than twice. It really wore me out. And I was only about 30. But I just thought, this is huge, because it's at that stage you realise that at 40 minutes, there's always a lull. The audience always get a bit tired of you. And you either have to go quiet and do something different or really pull something else out of the bag. So it's all these things that you learn. And that's why if you do a longer stage show, the interval comes at 40 minutes, because that's when the audience is starting to get a little bit restless, a little bit tired. I'll fuck off. They can go to the toilet. We'll come back. We'll do something else, But I am still, I'm really concerned about this new show because it isn't yet written. And what I would normally be doing at this stage would be doing little rooms above pubs and charging people, £2.50 to come and spend an excruciating evening of embarrassment and clumsiness, and while I trip over my knickers, sort of, trying new material, saying, sorry, this is shit, sorry. bear with, I'm just going to try this again. If I do it faster, it'll be funnier. That whole rigmarole, it doesn't change. It never gets any easier. It's just really, it's eggy, and then suddenly, you'll do a half-assed line that you never even thought of, and it'll bring the house down. You'll think, why isn't it all like that?
Yeah. And that's really encouraging to hear, actually, because
it never gets any easier.
Yeah, new material nights still going on online. Just speaking as ambassadors of online comedy, they do exist.
Okay, can you explain? Time for me to ask some questions. When you do your online comedy, do you do it like this? So do people sit down and just chat? Do they just do their stand-up like they're just telling an anecdote on a chair? Or do they stand up and try and create a little club scene in their
There's two ways. Like I noticed that if it's really new material for me, I'm happy because what you can do is you can put your Word document just under the camera and no one can know you're reading. So you can do all, and I'm very lucky. Dr. Maggie Irvin that's watching, she's a comedy professor. She's helped me do a bit of online coaching as well. And it's about engaging, leaning back, using the space, remembering you have arms and you still have a face that can move, and using the words. Or when you're ready, you can stand up, and I call it standing up for stand up, where you get your microphone. And even if the microphone's not plugged in, you're still holding the microphone.
Or a hairbrush. Or a hairbrush.
And when I do a 5-minute spot, I'll sit down. But if I do a 10-minute spot, I'll stand up. And when I come off doing a 10-minute spot, I'm shaking as if I've done a real gig. Because you stand up.
Yeah, I am intrigued.
And
I got my t-shirt on.
Female
genre. But
I am intrigued, but I'm not
really.
I mean, I'm intrigued, but I'm not that tempted. I think that one of my problems is that I am very fussy about sound, and if the sound quality isn't beautiful, then it drives me insane. Because I'm quite hard of hearing, and it becomes a bit of a problem for me. So that's something that I need to have complete control over and all that. I'm a bit of a bore about those sort of things. Yeah, I think that I'm really interested because I think it is probably breeding a new kind of comedy, which is quite an intimate comedy, which is a sort of, a leaning in and telling people. I'm like, telling a story now. And that leads back to sort of people like Dave Allen and the sit down raconteur kind of comedians, which I like as well. But I also do love, I'm quite a physical comedian, and I do love what I call a cantering stage, a stage where you can do a good canter, where you can. I think there was one I did on the last tour where it was the the Queen Elizabeth Hall at the South Bank Centre. And, it was such a walk to the middle of the stage. And just so many things on that walk came in, such excitement and trepidation and just, I do love a big gig, but also at the same time, I like a little...
If you were doing your process, you'd be doing little clubs where you were doing previews, and that's where I think online comedy could come in, because I've seen Stuart Goldsmith does a night called Chops, and Esselt does Buffering, and they're like preview open mic nights for
nobody's asked Lucy, nobody's asked me. So I'm a bit shy of it.
Well, they all now love, trust me, they're watching.
It's a tricky one, because there's sort of you feel like I feel that sometimes I've got quite a long way to fall. I mean, I suppose if it all goes tits up, you can just do that thing where you just leave and you just pretend that you've got a bad Wi-Fi thing going on. Like when your daughter used to phone you up when she was meant to be home, and she'd just go, I can't hear you, all that sort of thing. But it's something that once I get this young adult fiction under my belt, it is something that I'm going to have to think about. I think. I don't know. I'm nervous of it.
We might be back out by then, with fingers crossed.
I'm jabbed. You see, I'm single jabbed. I've had my first jab. So in a couple of weeks' time, I will have. I mean, I was only done last week, so it was a bit of an anticlimax, man. Some people have it done in cathedrals and stuff like that. Salisbury, and there's an organ playing, and everybody's. I got
angels are singing.
Yeah, and people getting a bit weepy. I went to a pharmacy down Cold Harbour Lane, which is on the corner of Brixton. It was just a slight anticlimax, because it was just this rather shitty chemist shop. You know,
And was
there
it a new needle, or did they just find one?
it was
I mean,
one found on the floor, obviously. You know,
I'm just conscious of time, so I just want to go through. Some people have put some lovely comments down. So Maggie says you are inspirational.
that's kind, Maggie.
Franimal asks, did you support any bands like Phil Jupitus did with poetry?
you ought to be supporting Jenny, shouldn't you?
No, but it was very much. I would like to say that I'm instrument in Phil Jupitus' career. He actually wrote to me when he was Porky the Poet, and said, you know, I've got all these poems, and sent loads of them, you know, to me. And I knew instinctively they were really good. And he said, what do you think I should do with them? And I said, I did write back, and I said, you should do these on stage. But he has that music side to him as well. He's also a really good artist. So if we ever do Celebrity Draws Off, you know, he's on my tick list. No, I used to dance for pop groups in videos in the early 80s because I did a few. I mean, I think the biggest one I ever did was for Boy George with Culture Club. I did Karma Chameleon. I'm dancing on the boat and all that kind of thing. There's a video. I'm right at the back. I'm one of the peasants at the back. You know, every TV show I've done tries to find me on that video. And they always think that I'll be, you know, pushing myself forward at the front as one of the posh people. I'm not. I'm a slave at the back. But no, I've done lots of funny things, really. But I've been terribly, terribly fortunate as well. And I do think that at the time that I came into stand-up, there were people would say there weren't any women. There were more than are remembered, and that's slightly frustrating, I think, for them now, because I think there are women that go, no, I was there, I did those gigs, and you've just forgotten me. And people fell by the wayside, and I think that the falling from the wayside was for quite a few reasons, some of which still exist and some of which don't exist to the same extent. Television just shut its doors to quite a lot of women without even thinking about them, without really bearing them in mind. You know, the greatest service that has been done to women in comedy, even though a lot of people didn't agree with it, was when the BBC decided that they could no longer have all male panel shows. That really has altered things hugely, because for years they got away with this shit. They really did. And then if you had
Beryl Reid, she had to get divorced.
I'm a big fan of Beryl's, but she wasn't on my circuit. But I think not quite. But I think also a lot of women that I knew that were my age were married to men or were with men who didn't give them quite enough support. Mm-hmm. And I was very, very fortunate with who I was with. And I never had more than one child. A lot of people would have one child and could keep going. They'd have two children, they couldn't keep going. There was lots of practical things. I mean, it was difficult as well. This was in a time before, I mean, even things like public transport wasn't as good. And it was even more I mean, this week has been the worst for women, for work, you know, and thinking about walking home and all that kind of thing. It's been the saddest week. And as a lot of young women back in my day were put off by that as well. It was physically and emotionally difficult job to have, because it meant going out at night. You know, Uber didn't exist. You didn't have your phone. You were sort of, you know, I was forever, I've always been terribly short-sighted, you know, me and an A to Z, just trying to work out where the fuck I was. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and I bet men haven't got any less creepy over the, you know, I bet they weren't like suddenly very gentlemanly back in the day. You know, we've all had experiences with creepy guys where they're giving you the full body hug when you're like, oh, thanks, mate. Was that, you know,
I have to say that in terms of the cabaret comedy circuit that I was involved in, I feel I got away with it quite lightly. I know that I think there were worse times to come, and I'm not sure why that was, but I had very few talking about men involved in the same circus. I had very few incidents where I felt anxious or upset by them. I think everybody was just rather sweet at the time. I don't know whether it was a general naivety or just everybody was a bit of an oddball and sort of, just
look after each other a bit then. A little bit. Oh,
Yeah.
that's good. That's good to know. I think in general, with our scene, most of us, we all look after each other.
It's so much bigger now. There's so many more of you. It's huge. There were about
You being on the
30 of
alternative
us.
stream, I used to work in the heavy metal industry, and they were like, everybody was just absolutely bloody lovely. It doesn't matter who you were, where you were, what walk, whatever you're into. They were the most encouraging and encompassing. And I wonder maybe if it's the mainstream, then you get the weirdos and the people. But if you go to a niche, get yourself some punk poetry, and you're less likely to find
Yes, and you are surrounded by misfits who but I think I've been very lucky, and I had a car as well later, a bit later on in my 30s. I had a car. Mind you, I could never drive on motorways, so it never really worked. So but no, I think I am but I've always been quite spiteful, as I said earlier. There's been a lot of spite in my career, and I've enjoyed not giving up out of spite.
Yes.
So,
Brilliant.
That's all you need. Don't think about talent. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Spite.
You're making
keeps
me
going.
feel very happy, because my success does annoy people, and that does fuel me.
Oh, done it just. Now, is there anybody else that needs... do you think more older women should take to the stage? Yeah, if they want to. I mean, the thing is, it's... I think that it's hard for older women to go out on a circuit where the audience is so much younger. So it's hard to tailor your material. Your natural material might not be the kind of stuff that the audience you're going to get in a mixed bill club. What you really want to find is a circuit of older audiences as well. So I'd say do it lunchtime, set up some lunchtime stand-up clubs, because we get to a certain age and you think, I'm not fucking going out at 8 o'clock at night. But 12:30 lunchtime, with a sort of a little bit of a pie or something. That's what we need to sort out.
That's what I like to do now.
My comedy brother and I.
You're talking over yourself. I can't hear.
Yeah,
I'll go Lucy first. Lucy.
Okay, Lucy first.
I was going to say, I did a student gig with my comedy brother, and I made a joke about mains gas and mains drains, and it got nothing because they've never paid a bill. And then Phil did a joke about a job interview. I haven't been on one. Sorry, Sarah. I didn't mean to talk over you, my love. You go.
That's Sarah. I'm listening to you now. I'm ignoring that one. Go on, love.
Thank you, Jenny. I was just going to say, I'm at the age as well. I'm 48. I've just turned 48, and I'm at the age as well where I'm like, I would much rather go out and get hammered in the day or have a few drinks in the day and a bit to eat. So I think you're onto something there. We have like lunchtime entertainment. Yeah, absolutely.
Right then, ladies, I'm going to love you and leave you. Is there anything else anybody needs to know?
I don't think so. No one else has said anything other than a bit of pie, good idea. That's from Maggie. And everybody's making comments and saying that they love you and think you're very inspirational. Thank you so much for being our guest.
It's an absolute pleasure, ladies. And I look forward to bumping into you either on the road, literally, Lucy, or in Swansea when they get there. You are on the guest list anywhere you can make it to. You know that. So just give me a text, a tweet or whatever, if, once we're on the road and we can sort something out. And you can come and have a drink. We can have a little drink after. Lots of love, everybody. I don't know how to leave this on.
JennyEclair.com. It couldn't be simpler to find out what Jenny's doing, where she's performing, and how to buy tickets for her For Fuck's Sake 60 tour. If you can't find a date that's near you, you don't live in the UK.
So, who cares? I love you and leave you. Take care, ladies.
Love you.
Look after yourselves. Mwah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh.
Play it cool. Play it cool. Oh!
I love her. Love Jennifer. Thank you so much.
Oh. Cheers, Sarah.
Cheers, Chink. Oh, cheers, everyone.
Yeah.
With every point. 4 points on my Weight Watchers, those. Thank you for joining us. Hang around because we're going to do our Old
we haven't finished yet.
review in a moment. But, thank you so much. Thank
Phil, I
you,
forgot you live in
Andy.
Germany. I'm sorry. Oh, thank you, Bond. Oh, my God.
Thank you, Maggie.
We've got some wonderful messages from all of you watching. Thank you so much. I know that Jenny really enjoyed the interactivity. I mean, you don't get this on telly, dear.
Please don't ask any more high-profile guests. I can't cope with the stress.
We've got another 2 coming up, and of course we've got new upcoming. Yeah, we've got Steve Spears, Hollywood star. We've got international star Ursula Carlson, and even Danny Johns. She's already smashing the competitions, so she's up and coming. Let's get her on before she's too big to get on the stage. So
she's smashing the patriarchy and the competitions.
Yes. Oh.
So we got Danny next week. We got pictures, haven't we? So we can show people
We have
what
got pictures.
Come on, you made the effort. Look, here we go. Here's Danny. This is Danny. He's coming next week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of don't want to talk about next week yet because I'm still basking in the afterglow for Jenny.
Let's enjoy.
And then the week after next, we got the fantastic Steve Spears. I'm going to be stressed again. He's phenomenal. He's been in bloody everything. He's great.
Can I just say, from the interaction I've had with Steve regarding arranging this interview, ruddy, lovely guy. Just a ruddy, lovely guy. And
not that we're saying Jenny wasn't. Jenny was freaking amazing.
They've all been so super, you'd think, they're going to say yes and regret it. No.
You were so right, Lockdown Comedy Guide. That was
right, love. Whilst you're still viewing, right, it's International Women's Week. So for my suggestion last week, I thought let's choose an international woman. So we are having, as this week's review, the amazing Netflix special by Ursula Carlson, Overqualified Losing. Now, you may not know who Ursula is. She's South African, but she's currently living in New Zealand. She's got a Netflix special, so she's international. But she was also one of the panelists on Masked Singer Australia, which I've only seen a little bit of Masked Singer UK.
Yeah.
And it you've got to have a degree in acting because they they'll do almost weird blind date vagueness. They'll be like, oh, this person plays sport. And then you go, is it John McEnroe? Is it Steve Cram? As you're looking at literally a 16-foot teddy bear who's just done a rap. And you're like, it's amazing. So she I've watched her best bits, but Masked Singer Australia and her face when she pretended to know who the fuck they were. Oh!
It's you. Yeah.
Celebrity program from a country I'm not from. Yes. So it's our tradition that the person who nominates it lets the person who hasn't seen it go first. So, my love, I'm going to pop the picture up. What did you think?
Well, let me tell you, I watch this as ever, right? Every week was like, right, what are we going to watch? What are we reviewing? And every week I'm like, right, I'll watch that on the weekend. And every single week on the day of the kitchen sink, I'm like, shit, what is it? What are we watching? I haven't watched it yet. So I watched this first thing this morning, 7:30 a.m. I'm like, oh, I've got a little hour before I start work. Let's watch a bit of this. So set the scene. I'm in my pajamas. It's 7:30 a.m. You know, the cat's playing around with a cat toy. It is not a typical comedy club, atmosphere at all. And I loved it.
Yeah.
And I'm not even, I'm aware we've got Ursula coming on in a few weeks. She liked a tweet of ours earlier, so she may well be watching the show. Oh, let's see what these bitches think of my show. I'm aware that she could be well aware of our review. So this isn't a biased review, because I don't do that. But I genuinely was like, I like this. I love it. The reason why I love it is because she's a woman, and she talks about women's stuff, and anyone can relate. But if you're a man, you haven't had a smear test lately, have you? So she talks a bit about that. But there is also other stuff you can relate to, like when people are, when you let people out and they don't say thank you. And,
Everyone has done that.
Yeah. And, and lots of normal everyday stuff that we can all relate to, and that drives us all up the wall, and she expresses it, and I loved it. Her accent's very interesting as well, and it gets more South African throughout the whole show. Like towards the end, she's very clipped in certain places. So, but I loved it. And you know what? She's a kind of act that you're like, oh yeah, I want to spend more time in this act's company. I want to enjoy this more. I would put this show on Friday night, a few bevies. Should we watch something on telly? Should we watch a bit of a comedy? Yeah, go on then, because it's not gonna. It's just funny. It's a bit filth. It's a bit crude, and it's a bit hilarious. So that is my review. What do you think, Lucy?
I've started listening to a breakfast radio show from Melbourne because, as I've said before, it's my oral vitamin D. It takes me out of the pandemic by listening to the Antipodes. And they had an interview with her, and she came across as really likable, and I really love her accent. It wavers, doesn't it? It's not this, it's not that. It's one or t'other, like per word. And then because of that, I watched the Netflix special, and this is when I spoke to you, and I was like, oh my god, I found the special. I really want to do the special. So I watched it again with my mother. Yeah, and she was in stitches. Now, if you can make my mother laugh, that is high standards, people. Like actual outward laughter, not just the. That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a very similar smear test experience. And as she was telling the story, I was like, shut up. No. That happened to me. But I didn't high-five my wife. I went and found my mother in a little cry. Are you sure you're not a virgin? But there was a lot more disdain from my woman because it was in a porter cabin in mid Devon. But even down to like what they call the hospital gowns, she calls them a llama llama. And it's just, you just want to walk around the house for the rest of the day going, llama llama. Llama llama.
I guess that's what it was. I thought that was like a Miu Miu. I mean, is it
like a moo moo? Yeah, but like she says they call
llama llama.
A llama llama. Like you just, on every word, you're like, yeah, that's what I'm calling her from now on.
Llama llama.
She doesn't alienate the audience depending on your gender. She doesn't walk on and go, this is female comedy.
She's not aggressive.
Yeah. No, she's not like, if you've got a penis, you're not going to enjoy this. Everybody.
This is exactly how I start my stand-up.
I mean, it's how I enter a room.
Yeah, it's when you get to the yard in the morning. I want my truck. You haven't got a penis. Or if you've got a penis,
taking the fucking bin, piss off.
Getting the bin.
I really, really enjoyed it, and it's not very often I get to the end of a Netflix special and I'm like, oh, it's over already.
Yeah.
Because Netflix is just an hour. We're used to longer. I mean, if you think of a Jimmy Carr, that's more than an hour. That's an hour and a half.
Also, normally we watch comedy live, isn't it? So if it's like a big theatre gig, we'd watch comedy, and it's an hour and a half at least, because they might have an opening act, or they do 2 40 minutes and have an interval.
Yeah.
So it feels like a lot. And by the time, you get dressed up and you go out, so it feels, it's a whole evening, isn't it?
But I felt like that with all the Tiffany Haddish ones I've watched as well. You just sort of settling in, and then she goes, "Thank you very much, goodbye," and you're like, "Where are you going?"
Yeah.
I don't. One more.
Isn't that a sign of a good show? It's like, leave them wanting more. That's what they say. That's what was it Barnum who said that? Leave them wanting more.
But there's also, it's not just a disposable special. Like I have dipped crisps in hummus since then and sniggered to myself with a ninja.
Oh, I loved that bit. I was like, oh yeah.
It's the kid.
And she slipped.
When that crisp, I mean, because I don't have a sweet tooth. I don't dunk biscuits in tea or coffee. So for me, it's going to be a crisp into a dip. And I know that when people do like that, the hobnobs or the rich tea, and they break in the cup. Oh, I don't get that. But when you watch that crisp break, oh, you son of a bitch.
But the trick is you've got to have two crisps and you got to have them together and then scoop together. Or you want a rigid crisp, like a Max or what's it,
maybe a McCoy.
Or a kitchen kettle.
I was going to say a Burt's. You need a Burt's kettle. Don't be going in there with the Pringles. That's just taking a paper bag to a knife fight.
Yeah, Pringles, they dissolve on contact. So
you basically embarrass yourself in a social situation.
Yeah, you do even know how to buffet if you're Pringling.
We're talking to the buffet mistresses here. I will ask Jenny if she can put the silver back. I noticed her handbag was jingling as she went out the dining room.
I noticed that as well, but
I didn't know how to ask. It was like having Queen Mary here.
Oh, I need to go so I can pray.
I need to go. We need to stop streaming so that we can stare at each other for 5 minutes and scream. And then, of course,
can we have a round of applause for Jenny Eclair? How fucking cool is that woman?
Can we have an applause for Sharon?
I love her.
Who managed to do her bit, knowing that Jenny Eclair was looking at her. That I mean, you forgot how to speak. Shani managed to carry on.
How's that?
Right, before we let you go, everybody who wants to join in with the review club, because people do join in with the review club. So Sarah's
I fucking do. I'll tell you that right now.
There we go. So Sarah, next week, because I did 2 in a row. So it's more 2 in a row coming up now. So just to add a bit of pizzazz, you have told me already. So would you like to announce your show for next week?
Thank you, Lockdown Comedy Guide. Thank you. So my show for next week is Wanda Sykes, Not Normal. Yes. So you can find that on Netflix. Wanda has been a favourite of mine for many years. She's very funny. You might recognise her from being a guest on Curb Your Enthusiasm. Amazing, very funny stand-up. And this is a special that is on Netflix. But if you can't join him with Netflix, yes. So if you can't join him with Netflix, just find some Wanda Sykes on YouTube's and chuck us your opinions as we review, because our reviews aren't like, hey, I give this review for this thing 4 stars. Our reviews are, do you want to watch it or what? It's like recommending it to a friend. You wouldn't say to a friend, watch something if it's shite, would you? And that's what we're here for.
And to be honest,
watch it or
doing something in the future. We both decided before we got that far we both didn't like it. It got binned. I was like, well, we should really do this. Don't like it. Well, me neither, but I thought I'd put it forward. Nah, fuck that. We're not going to be sycophants about things we don't like.
Absolutely. But we do like is. Look, wouldn't that be awkward though if it was like, just couldn't, So thank fuck she's amazing. Johnny, he loves you. I'm a bit drunk now. That's a bit worrying, isn't it? I haven't even
because you don't drink, sweetheart. Honestly, when I do get closer to you, we'll have to find what the most 0.3 alcohol.
I'm not going to get drunk on your sweat, Lucy.
Stop licking me, Sarah. We've talked about me too.
I can't promise.
Not
I'll try
promising.
it.
Right, this is our International Women's Day special. I know it's not on the actual day, but it's our week. So, Sarah, I would like to say thank you for being a fantastic co-host and for sticking with me all this long. And I couldn't do this without
Do they
you.
have a choice?
No, it's not a democracy.
No, it's not. It is. I am a hostage right now.
Mhm.
Comedy. She used to call me a comedy wife. I'm a comedy hostage. But
Yes.
I'm so very, very pleased. It's the Stockholm Syndrome is kicking in. I want to say thank you to you, Lucy, but also to our fantastic audience,
Yeah.
especially our regulars who come every week. And I love you. And thank you so much.
Hugh!
Oh, I knew, but Hugh, right, I'm telling you now. Jenny was in free flow, and I'm not stopping it to go. Right, did you?
Here's a question. Yeah.
I do apologise. I'm sorry, Hugh. We love you, but it wasn't easy to sneak that question in. Was it?
Well, yeah. We know we do our best where we can.
And to be fair, she did already tell Lucy off for giving too much information, I think, early on. And she told us both off for talking over each other. So I did.
Sorry, I've only got the rest of my life to think about that conversation again.
And we've only got it up on YouTube to go over it again and again and again and go, Was it all right though? We were all right though, weren't we, guys?
I think it was absolutely fine, considering it's an online streaming show. And I think it was absolutely fine. So please, everybody, this time next week, we've got Danny Johns coming on. She is up and coming. She's wonderful. She's from Bristol, and she's done some really amazing sets in some competitions recently. I'm a massive fan, and although I haven't met her in real life, she is within my travel radius, and I hope to spend time with her lots in person in the future. And I'm looking forward to having her on the show.
Lucy, can I just say before we finish, do you think Stuart Goldsmith is quaking in his boots right now?
He should be.
Yeah.
I gave him a name check. Come on. White men need a step up in the industry. Come on, I'm being thoughtful. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to press stop streaming soon, but I am going to press the outro.
We've got to do the outro. Do the outro. I spent time on that. Right, I'm here. I'm at the outro.
You're at the outro.
I've got the outro.
Well, that was the kitchen sink. Did we make you laugh? Did we make you think? You can now go to the loo. You can treat yourself to that great big poo. And we will see you next week. Yeah! See you next week.